How to tell if you have a good therapist. In this video, we're going through 24 different things that you can look out for to make sure that your therapy relationship is actually doing what it's meant to. And then finally, at the end, I'll share my top tip for finding a good therapist if you haven't found one already. Hi everyone, welcome back to Aspergers from the Inside. You're here with Paul. I make weekly videos sharing the human side of autism, so make sure you hit subscribe to get the latest content. In this week's Patron's Choice video, we're looking at how to tell if you have a good therapist. And I've come up with 24 different things to look out for under 4 main categories. The first category is, how do you feel? What's your subjective experience of the situation? Secondly, what do they do? How do they treat you? Thirdly, what do they know? What kind of experience do they have? And finally, what results do you see? Is the therapy actually helping? Finally, if you're thinking all this is great and you'd love to find a therapist like that, I'll share my top tip on how to find a good therapist if you haven't found one already. It helps to remember that even though therapists are experts and professionals, that doesn't necessarily make them right for you. So a better question, rather than asking, do I have a good therapist, is to ask, do I have a good therapist for me? A lot of people don't realize this, but actually one of the biggest factors in the effectiveness of therapy is your relationship with the person. Do you like them? Do they like you? Do you feel comfortable with them or not? So that's why the first category of things to look out for is around the subjective experience of how do you feel. Do they make you feel comfortable? Do you want to go to your appointment, or does it actually take you energy and you end up procrastinating going? Do you feel as though it's actually useful? Do you believe that it's helping? Do you feel like they get you, like they understand you? Or do you spend all your time just trying to explain yourself? Do they give you advice? And if they do give you advice, is it actually helpful? Does it make sense to you? And do you actually do it? Do you feel like you're growing, like you're learning, like you're making progress? All of these questions are around how you feel. And often we don't trust how we feel. And instead, it's easy to think that, well, I'm not really sure what's going on here, so that the expert must know. Actually, from an emotional intelligence perspective, it's really helpful to start listening to our own intuition. It might not be right all the time, but we get a lot of really useful information about if we feel comfortable in a situation. For a lot of us who don't feel comfortable in a lot of situations, maybe we can intellectually set the bar really low, but finding someone who understands you, finding someone who makes you feel comfortable, who makes you feel like this is actually a useful process, is not too much to ask. So that's the first sign of a good therapist that we're looking for. How do they make you feel? They should make you feel comfortable, welcome, accepted for who you are, and you have to feel like they understand you and you actually have a good relationship. So the second category, the second question is, how do they treat you? Are you the expert in your own life, or are you the broken one that they need to come in and fix? Are they respectful towards you? Do they value your perspective? Do they help you understand, or do they talk down to you in a way that's a bit condescending? When you're explaining something to them and they're listening, do they check that they've actually understood correctly? Do they ask you what you want to work on and what you think is most important? Or do they tell you what you need to do instead? Do they believe in you? Do they encourage you and motivate you? Or do you leave kind of feeling frustrated, useless, and worthless? So this set of questions is all about how they treat you, because how someone treats you betrays their underlying attitude towards you. If they don't believe in you, how are you supposed to believe in yourself? If they don't believe in the therapy, if they don't believe that you're going to see really good results, how are you supposed to believe that it's going to be helpful for yourself either? This category is highly interrelated with the first category of how we feel. It's just looking more at the objective signs rather than what we feel in our subjective experience. So the third category asks the question, how experienced are they? Do they have a relevant qualification? Do they have experience in actually helping other people in your situation and having good results with that? Do they help you see things more clearly? Can they recommend helpful strategies or helpful ways of understanding? Do they come across as grounded and confident and comfortable? Or do you get the sense that they're kind of flying by the seat of their pants with no idea of where you're going or what to do next? Now, experience is not the most important thing, but having a good attitude is not good enough. Good therapists become good therapists through practice and experience. Every individual has their own strengths and weaknesses, and if the person that is helping you has already had a lot of experience helping other people like you, it's likely that the therapy will be beneficial for you as well. The fourth category sounds fairly obvious, but is often overlooked. Do you get results? Are you actually getting better? Do you feel like your sessions are actually moving forward, or do you seem to just go around in circles, constantly talking about the same things? Are you constantly discovering more and more about yourself? Are you developing better skills to manage everyday life? Do you see tangible results in your life? Things that you can point to prove that the therapy is actually having a positive impact. What makes this one a little bit difficult is that progress is not always obvious, but after a long time, you should be seeing some kind of improvement. And if you're not, then that's not a very good sign. So as you may know, I'm an autistic life coach, and life coaching is definitely not therapy. It's quite different. And in life coaching, we work on specific goals. What change would you like to see in your life? What needs to happen to make that goal a reality? To move from just having a nice idea to it actually happening, right? Very practical, very proactive. So while therapy is really good for processing emotions, coaching instead is really good for getting clarity on what you want in your life and actually making it happen. When your life is better, you generally feel better too. So in that way, coaching can have a very positive impact on mental health, just in a more indirect way. But that said, therapy, even though it's not directly goal-focused all the time, it should, in its own way, also make your life significantly, tangibly better. And if it's not doing that, especially in the long term, then that's a problem, and maybe you need to look for something that's more effective for you. So in summary, when evaluating if your therapist is a good fit for you, the 4 questions you can ask yourself are, how do you feel? What do they do? What do they know? And what results are you seeing? Probably the hardest thing when evaluating if your therapist is a good fit is to trust your instinct and to make a decision if you think it's not working. This can be really difficult, especially if you've had a history of having it difficult to find people that are helpful for you. I know that I've tried many different mental health professionals who in hindsight were not very good, but I didn't realize it at the time because I hadn't had a good experience to compare it to. So I hope that in this video, you're getting a sense of what a good therapeutic relationship looks like. It makes you feel good. They treat you with respect in a really positive way that, again, makes you feel accepted and comfortable. They have experience. They have a history of actually helping people like you. And also, you see results in your everyday life as well. So finally, if you're thinking, well, that sounds really good, but how do I find a good therapist? I'm going to share my top tip for finding someone who's a good fit for you. So we should also note that while professional help is great, therapy is just one way to improve your mental health. So if you're looking for alternate suggestions to finding a good therapist, then check out my video on 4 proven ways to improve your mental health. But with regard to having a good therapist for you, as I mentioned in the beginning, probably the most important thing is that you find the right fit. So with that in mind, my top tip for finding the right fit for you is to try online counselling. I've personally used a platform called Betterhelp. Full disclosure, Betterhelp provided me with both a free trial and a sponsored link so that I could test out their platform for myself and tell you honestly what I thought about the experience. If you decide to try it too, you can use the sponsored link in the description below to get 10% off your first month and support this channel in the process. So if you'd like to hear more detail on the pros and cons of online counselling, I've already done a video on that, so make sure you check out the link in the cards. But the reason I'm mentioning it as my top tip for finding a good therapist is because for me personally, the best thing about it, well, one of the best things about it was that you can match your own person. For me personally, it took about 6 tries before I found someone that I was actually happy with. Now, if I had to go and have 6 in-person appointments in a row, that would take me forever and cost me a lot of money. Whereas online, I could chat to the person in advance and get some kind of idea of if it was going to be a good fit before even meeting them. So I personally found that to be fairly helpful. If you think you'd like to try online counselling for yourself as well, you can use the sponsored link in the description below to get 10% off your first month. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Big thank you to our Patreon community for voting for this topic. If you'd like to have your say in next month's Patron's Choice video, you can become a cup of coffee supporter of this channel for less than $1 a week. So thanks again for watching. I hope you found this valuable. If you have a good therapist, let us know in the comments what makes a good therapist for you. So for the rest of us still looking for good help, I wish you the best of luck. When you find a good therapist who actually makes sense, it will finally put it into perspective why previous help wasn't very helpful. So I wish you the best on that journey, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.